Welcome to This Week in Education Law, where I share up-to-date court decisions from the perspectives of educational administrators and policymakers. This is episode 30. In this episode, I focus on a case about the extent to which public university can hold faculty accountable for their behaviors off campus. The case began in 2017 when an anonymous online letter accused a tenured professor from the History of Consciousness department at the University of California, Santa Cruz of sexual misconduct. This letter included 7 anonymous accounts of the professor's alleged inappropriate behavior. Over 150 people signed the letter to show their support. Recognizing the gravity of these accusations, the university issued a statement that it was aware of the letter and asked the individuals with relevant information to contact the Title IX office to assist its investigation. On February 1, 2018, the university's executive vice chancellor announced that the professor was placed on involuntary leave for both the severity of the allegations and his protection. Shortly afterward, it was decided that 4 complaints would be thoroughly investigated under the supervision of the university's Title IX office, which enlisted an external investigator to ensure a comprehensive examination. Upon receiving the investigative report, the university's charges committee reviewed the findings to determine if disciplinary proceedings were warranted. They concluded that the professor had indeed breached the university's faculty code of conduct. Following this determination, the executive vice chancellor proposed dismissing the professor and denying his emeritus status due to the serious nature of his misconduct, informing him of his right to a formal hearing. During the formal hearing, which extended over 5 days, the Committee on Privileges and Tenure, also known as the PT Committee, comprised of 3 university professors, evaluated testimonies from 11 university witnesses. Their conclusion was clear. The professor violated the faculty code of conduct and the university's policy on sexual harassment, recommending his dismissal and the denial of emeritus status. The university chancellor, after reviewing the PT committee's findings, concurred with the recommendation. This decision was later reinforced by the University of California president, who, after her independent review, suggests the Regents dismiss the professor. The Regents held a meeting to consider the president's suggestion to terminate the professor's employment. Although the professor chose not to attend the meeting personally or be represented by an attorney, he did present a written defense. In this statement, he argued that the university did not have the authority to address the accusations of sexual misconduct, given that the incidents took place off campus and involved individuals who were not university students. Despite his argument, the Regents unanimously decided to proceed with the dismissal and denied his emeritus status. The professor sought legal recourse, filing a petition of writ of administrative mandate, which was ultimately denied by the court. The professor argued on appeal that the university did not have the authority to discipline him because the victims were not members of the university. The court noted that university policies, particularly those related to conduct and sexual harassment, often define the community broadly. This can include not just currently enrolled students and employed faculty and staff, but also individuals engaged with the university in different capacities, such as alumni, visitors, guests at university events, and participants in university-sponsored programs. The first victim attended a poetry summit, which was an academic event. The second victim at the time was still a university student, even though she had participated in a graduation ceremony. Her degree had not yet been conferred due to pending grade audits. This placed her in a transitional status, still under the university's purview. As a result, the university has the authority to establish and interpret its policies, such as its faculty code of conduct and the university's policy on sexual harassment. Second, the professor argued that the allegations of violating general ethical principles should not lead to discipline, particularly in the absence of concrete evidence demonstrating a significant disruption to the university's operations. The court, however, refuted this argument by highlighting specific provisions in the university's faculty code of conduct. This document explicitly states that faculty members uphold a high standard of ethics in their professional conduct. This includes creating an environment of respect, integrity, and academic freedom. The professor's sexual misconduct was found to deviate significantly from those principles. It not only breached ethical standards, but also threatened the safety and the well-being of the university community. Such behavior undermines trust and detracts from the university's mission to advance knowledge and value in a respectful setting. Moreover, when a faculty member's conduct instills fear and discomfort, it discourages participation in academic endeavors, diminishes the quality of education, and undermines the university's core function. Third, the professor argued that he should not face discipline for allegedly violating parts of the faculty code of conduct because he never received a notice of charge against him. He acknowledged receiving notice for a charge based on violating the university's sexual harassment policy, but claimed he had no notice about a second charge for breaching the faculty code of conduct. The court dismissed this argument because the university's PT committee concluded that the professor's sexual misconduct violated the faculty code of conduct. Moreover, the university's disciplinary action was primarily based on the serious violation of the university's sexual harassment policy, a charge the professor had been duly informed of. Fourth, the professor argued that the penalties for being fired and stripped of emeritus status were unduly harsh. But the court underscored the principle of deference to the expertise of the administrative agency, in this case the university, in determining suitable penalties. The university's decision was based on clear and convincing evidence of the professor's sexual misconduct and its impact on the victims and the university community. Given the serious nature of the allegations and the evidence supporting them, the university's disciplinary decision was deemed proportional to the misconduct's severity, aimed at addressing the harm and preventing future occurrences. What can educational administrators learn from this case? First, universities have broad jurisdiction to enforce policies that protect their central function and the community. For example, a faculty member or student is involved in misconduct at a university-sponsored conference or event held off campus. Even though the event is beyond the confines of the physical boundaries of the university, the behavior directly impacts the university's reputation, the safety of its members, and the learning environment. In those cases, administrators must enforce the relevant policies, for example, code of conduct, sexual harassment policies, to address the misconduct, demonstrating the institution's commitment to upholding its values universally. Second, for educational administrators, developing and enforcing policies is fundamental to effective management and governance of an organization. What are the functions of policies? They provide clear instructions and guidelines to organizational members on how to conduct themselves, make decisions, and perform their duties. This guidance helps ensure consistency in actions and decision-making across the organization. Good policies should start with clear definitions of key terms and concepts such as acceptable conduct, harassment, academic integrity, and conflict of interest. Providing examples can help clarify those definitions, making it easier for all community members to understand their responsibilities and the behaviors expected of them. Policies should also detail the potential disciplinary actions for violations, ensuring that those actions are proportionate to the severity of the misconduct. A graduated scale of disciplinary measures, from warnings to expulsion or termination, provides clear framework for addressing violations. Clear procedures for reporting violations, conducting investigations, and enforcing disciplinary actions are important components of effective policy implementation. Administrators should establish and communicate those procedures, ensuring that the process is transparent, fair, and respects the rights of all involved parties. Third, in this case, the university's ability to uphold its decisions in court relied heavily on documented policies, evidence of the misconduct, and thorough administrative processes. Throughout the disciplinary processes, universities must strictly adhere to their own procedures as outlined in their policies. This ensures fairness and due process for all parties involved. Procedures should detail how investigations are conducted, how decisions are made, and how appeals can be filed. For example, if a faculty member faces accusations of misconduct, the university's policies should clearly outline the steps for notifying the individual, conducting the investigation, holding a hearing if applicable, and making a final decision. It's important that the faculty member is given an opportunity to respond to the allegations and present their own evidence. Moreover, maintaining detailed record of the entire disciplinary process is essential. This includes documentation of the initial complaint, all communications with involved parties, detailed notes from the investigation, the rationale behind decisions made, and any sanctions imposed. The records are invaluable if the decision is challenged in court because they provide a clear and comprehensive account of the process and the basis for the final decision.